She was pouring water for a billionaire when his billion-dollar deal started to collapse. He had lawyers. He had assistants. He had the most powerful people in Los Angeles sitting at that table. But not one of them could save him. He was about to lose everything. His empire, his reputation, his legacy. All because of one missing translator. And the only person in that room who could help him was invisible. She was wearing a black uniform and an apron. She'd been refilling their glasses all night. They hadn't looked at her face once. They didn't know her name. They had no idea that the woman they'd been ignoring spoke 5 languages fluently, that she had a degree from one of the best universities in California, that she'd given up everything to save her dying brother. They had no idea that their entire future was standing 3 feet away, holding a tray of dirty dishes. What happened next didn't just save a billion-dollar deal. It exposed a truth that will change how you see every person you meet for the rest of your life. This is a true story about the invisible woman who shocked everyone. Stay until the end, because what the billionaire did after he discovered who she really was will restore your faith in humanity. Welcome to Voice of Granny. While you are here, please hit the subscribe button and comment your view on the story and where you're watching from. You know, sometimes the most extraordinary people are hiding in plain sight. They're the ones we walk past every single day without really seeing them. This is a story about one of those people. And I promise you, by the end of this story, you'll never look at anyone the same way again. Let me take you to Los Angeles, to a beautiful restaurant called The Pearl. It sits on the top floor of a glass building in downtown LA, where you can see the entire city spread out below you like a blanket of lights. The kind of place where a single meal costs more than most people make in a week. Where powerful people come to make deals that change the world. On this particular night, something was about to happen that nobody could have predicted. Not the billionaire sitting at the best table in the house. Not his expensive lawyers. And certainly not the quiet young woman refilling their water glasses. Her name was Sofia Martinez. 28 years old, with dark hair always pulled back in a tight bun, wearing the standard black uniform that made her blend into the background. To everyone in that restaurant, she was just another server. Just another face in the crowd. Someone whose job was to bring food and disappear. But here's what they didn't know. What nobody knew. Sofia spoke 5 languages fluently. She had studied international business and diplomacy at UCLA, one of the best universities in California. She had dreams once. Big dreams. Dreams of working for the United Nations, of helping countries communicate, of building bridges between different cultures. But life has a way of crushing dreams, doesn't it? 5 years ago, Sofia's younger brother Diego was in a terrible car accident. He was only 16. The medical bills were massive. Surgeries, physical therapy, medications that cost thousands of dollars every month. Her parents worked 3 jobs between them, but it wasn't enough. The bills kept coming. The debt kept growing. So Sofia made a choice. She dropped out of her master's program. She let go of her dreams. She took 2 jobs, working 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. The Pearl restaurant was one of those jobs. It paid well enough to keep her brother in treatment, to keep her family from losing everything. Every night, she would put on that black uniform and become invisible. She would serve millionaires and billionaires who never looked at her face, never asked her name, never wondered if the person pouring their wine might have thoughts and dreams and talents of her own. She had learned to accept it. This was her life now. The girl who once spoke at international conferences was now the woman who memorized who ordered the salmon and who wanted their steak medium rare. But on this night, everything was about to change. At the center table sat Victor Chin. Not just any rich man, but one of the richest men in California. He owned Chin Media Group, a massive entertainment empire. Movie studios, streaming platforms, music labels. The kind of company that shapes what the whole world watches and listens to. Victor was in the middle of the most important meeting of his career. Sitting across from him were 3 executives from a Korean entertainment conglomerate called Hana Industries. They were offering a partnership worth $1 billion. $1 billion. The kind of deal that happens once in a lifetime. But there was a problem. A huge problem. The Korean executives spoke very little English. Victor spoke no Korean at all. He had hired the best interpreter in Los Angeles, a woman named Rebecca Park, paying her $5,000 just for this one dinner. Everything depended on clear communication. One misunderstanding could destroy everything. And then, 30 minutes before the meeting started, Victor got a text message. Emergency. My father had a heart attack. I'm at the hospital. I'm so sorry. I can't make it. Victor felt his blood turn to ice. His assistant frantically called every translator in the city. But it was Friday night. Everyone was already booked. Nobody was available. So there he sat, at the most important meeting of his life, unable to speak to the people who held his future in their hands. His lawyers, his assistants, his senior vice presidents, all these highly paid, highly educated people, and not one of them could help him. The Korean executives were getting impatient. The head of their delegation, a dignified older man named Mr. Park, spoke in careful English. Perhaps we should reschedule, Mr. Chin. This is too important for confusion. Reschedule. That one word felt like a death sentence. Victor knew that his biggest competitor, a man named Richard Stone, was also trying to make a deal with Hana Industries. If Victor failed tonight, Richard would win. It was that simple. Victor felt panic rising in his chest. He felt helpless. Here he was, a billionaire who could buy almost anything in the world, and he couldn't buy the one thing he needed most. Time was running out. And that's when Sophia walked past their table, clearing empty plates with practiced, silent efficiency. Nobody was looking at her. Nobody ever looked at her. Nobody knew that she had spent 2 years living in Seoul, South Korea, as part of her university program. Nobody knew that she spoke Korean so fluently that native speakers often mistook her for one of their own. Nobody knew that she was listening to every word being said, understanding everything. Nobody knew that the solution to this billionaire's billion-dollar problem was standing 3 feet away, holding a tray of dirty dishes. The question was, would she dare to speak up? Would you? If you were invisible your whole life, if you'd been ignored and overlooked for years, would you have the courage to step forward? To risk everything on one moment? Sophia stood there, her heart pounding, watching this powerful man's empire start to crumble. And she had to make a choice. Have you ever had a moment where your whole life could change? Where everything depends on whether you speak up or stay silent? Sophia was having that moment right now. She watched as Victor Chun tried to use a translation app on his phone. She watched him type in complex business terms, and she watched the app spit out complete nonsense. The Korean executives looked confused, then embarrassed for him, then disappointed. This was painful to watch. One of Victor's assistants, a man named Gerald, whispered loudly enough for Sophia to hear. "We're finished. We should just apologize and leave before this gets worse." Mr. Park, the Korean executive, placed his napkin on the table. In Korean culture, this is a signal, a polite way of saying the meeting is over. Sophia knew this. She had lived there. She understood. She saw Victor's face, the defeat in his eyes. This man had probably never failed at anything in his entire life. And now he was failing in front of everyone. Sophia felt something stirring inside her. It wasn't just sympathy. It was something deeper. She recognized that look in his eyes because she had seen it in her own mirror every single day for 5 years. The look of someone whose dreams are dying. Someone who's losing everything and can't stop it. She thought about her brother Diego, about the medical bills still piling up, about her parents working themselves to exhaustion, about her own abandoned dreams. And she thought, what if this is my moment? What if this is why I learned Korean? What if everything I've been through was preparing me for right now? Her hands were shaking. Her mouth was dry. Every instinct told her to stay quiet, to stay invisible, to do her job and go home. But then she heard her own voice, soft but clear, cutting through the tension in the room. "Excuse me, sir." Every head turned toward her. 20 pairs of eyes suddenly focused on the server they had ignored all night. Gerald, the assistant, looked annoyed. "Not now. Can't you see we're in a meeting?" But Mr. Park was staring at Sophia with a curious expression. A moment earlier, when she had refilled his water, he had said "Gamsahamnida" without thinking. "Thank you" in Korean. And Sophia, without thinking, had whispered back "Chonmaneo." "You're welcome." He had noticed. He remembered. "Wait," Mr. Park said, holding up his hand. He looked directly at Sophia. "You speak Korean?" The room went completely silent. Sophia's heart was hammering so hard she thought everyone could hear it. She could back down now. Apologize and run away. Go back to being invisible. Or she could jump. She took a deep breath and spoke directly to Mr. Park. But she didn't speak in English. She spoke in perfect, fluent Korean. Formal and respectful, using the proper honorifics for a senior executive. "Mr. Park, please forgive my interruption. I couldn't help but notice that your important discussion has been disrupted by a language barrier. If it would be helpful, I would be honored to assist with translation. The reaction was instant. The three Korean executives sat up straight, their eyes wide with shock. They started speaking rapidly to each other in Korean. Did she just speak perfect Seoul dialect? That's better Korean than most translators we hire. Who is this woman? Victor Chun was staring at Sophia like she had just appeared out of thin air. You speak Korean? How? You're a waitress. Sophia felt a flash of anger at that word. As if being a waitress meant she couldn't be anything else. As if her uniform erased everything she had learned, everything she had accomplished, everything she was. But she kept her voice calm and professional. I studied international relations at UCLA, Mr. Chun. I lived in Seoul for 2 years. Korean language and business culture were my specialization. Gerald scoffed. And you're working as a server? Sure. But Mr. Park wasn't skeptical. He was impressed. He spoke to Sophia again in Korean, asking her a rapid series of complex questions about business terminology, trade agreements, intellectual property law. The kind of questions that would trip up a casual speaker. Sophia answered every single one perfectly. Not just translating words, but explaining concepts. Showing that she understood not just the language, but the business. The Korean executives began speaking among themselves excitedly. Finally, Mr. Park turned to Victor. Mr. Chun, he said in English, a smile spreading across his face. You have been keeping a secret weapon at your restaurant. This young woman's Korean is exceptional. Better than many professional translators I have worked with. If she is willing to help us tonight, I believe we can continue. Then Mr. Park did something that shocked everyone. He gestured to the empty chair at the table. The chair that had been reserved for Rebecca, the expensive translator. Please, he said to Sophia in Korean. Join us. Sophia felt dizzy. This couldn't be real. 1 minute she was clearing plates. The next minute she was being invited to sit at a billion-dollar negotiation table. She looked down at her server's uniform, at her practical shoes, at the small notepad in her pocket where she wrote down dinner orders. Then she looked up at Victor Chun. He was staring at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. Surprise. Confusion. But also something else. Hope. Can you really do this? He asked quietly. This is incredibly complex. One mistake could cost us everything. Sophia met his eyes. For the first time in 5 years, she felt like herself again. Not the invisible server. Not the girl who gave up her dreams. But the person she was always meant to be. Yes, she said simply. I can do this. She untied her server's apron, folded it carefully, set it aside, and sat down at the table. Nobody in that room, least of all Victor Chun, had any idea what was about to happen. They thought they were getting a translator, a substitute, someone to just repeat words. They had no idea they were about to witness something extraordinary. Sometimes all a person needs is one chance. Just one moment where someone sees them for who they really are. Sophia was about to prove what 5 years of being invisible had hidden. The negotiation began again, and within minutes, it became clear that Sophia wasn't just translating words. She was transforming the entire conversation. Victor started explaining his vision for the partnership. He spoke about market share, profit margins, distribution networks. Cold business language. Sophia listened carefully, then turned to the Korean executives. But she didn't just translate his words directly. She did something brilliant. She explained Victor's vision in a way that connected to Korean business values. She talked about long-term relationships, not just short-term profits. She used metaphors that resonated with Korean culture. She showed respect for Hana Industries' legacy while explaining how the partnership would honor both companies. The Korean executives leaned forward, engaged in a way they hadn't been all evening. Mr. Park nodded slowly. Now I understand. This is not just about money. This is about building something together. Victor's assistant Gerald whispered. What did she say? What's happening? She's making them understand, Victor whispered back, amazed. She's not just translating. She's making them believe. For the next hour, Sophia became the bridge between two worlds. When the Korean executives raised concerns about creative control, Sophia didn't just translate their worry. She explained the cultural context to Victor. Mr. Chun, she said gently, in Korean business culture, respect for creative vision is sacred. They're not questioning your business model. They're asking for reassurance that their artists and creators will be honored. That this isn't just an American company buying a Korean company. This needs to feel like a true partnership. Victor's eyes lit up with understanding. Tell them that creative control stays with their team. We provide distribution and resources, but the art remains theirs. Their vision, their voice. When Sophia translated this, she saw the Korean executives physically relax. Mr. Park smiled for the first time that evening. But the real test came when they reached the most difficult part of the negotiation. The profit-sharing agreement. Victor's lawyers had drawn up a complex formula. 60-40 split in Victor's favor for the first 5 years, then renegotiation. It was a standard American business approach. Take the bigger share up front because you're providing the bigger investment. But when Sophia translated this proposal, she saw Mr. Park's expression change. His smile disappeared. He conferred quietly with his colleagues in Korean. Sophia understood every word they said. This is insulting. They see us as junior partners. They want control. Perhaps we should walk away. Richard Stone's offer was 50-50 from the beginning. Her heart sank. The deal was about to collapse again. Victor's lawyers thought their offer was generous. They had no idea it had just offended everyone on the other side of the table. This was Sophia's moment of truth. She could just translate exactly what was being said and watch the deal explode. Do her job as a simple translator. Stay safe. Or she could do what she was really trained to do. Not just translate languages, but bridge cultures. Find solutions that honored both sides. She took a breath and made a choice. Mr. Chun, she said quietly, may I speak honestly with you for a moment? Victor nodded. Please. Your offer is about to end this negotiation, Sophia said. Not because it's unfair financially, but because of what it signals culturally. In Korean business, the percentage split isn't just about money. It's about respect. A 60-40 split says, you're the smaller partner. You're less important. That's not how you build trust. Gerald interrupted. That's ridiculous. Business is business. Numbers are numbers. But Victor held up his hand. Let her finish. Sophia continued. What if instead of a 60-40 split that changes later, you offered a 50-50 split from day one, but structured so that you recoup your initial investment first? You get your money back, guaranteed. After that, everything is equal. Same profit, same risk, same partnership. Victor stared at her. That's actually brilliant. We get our investment secured, and they get the respect of equal partnership. Exactly, Sophia said. You give them face, they give you security. Everyone wins. Victor turned to his lawyers. Draw it up. 50-50 partnership with investment recovery clause. The lawyers scrambled to revise the documents on their tablets. Sophia turned back to the Korean executives and explained the new offer in Korean. She watched their faces transform. Mr. Park broke into a huge smile. He spoke rapidly in Korean, his voice warm and excited. This changes everything. This is the partnership we dreamed of. True equals. The rest of the negotiation flowed smoothly. With Sophia facilitating, both sides understood each other perfectly. Not just the words, but the intentions, the values, the dreams. 3 hours later, the deal was done. $1 billion. A partnership that would change both companies forever. Contracts signed. Champagne poured. Mr. Park stood and raised his glass. He spoke in Korean and Sophia translated. To new partnerships built on respect and understanding. And to Miss Sophia Martinez, whose wisdom and skill saved this entire evening. Mr. Chun, you have hidden a treasure in your restaurant. Victor stood as well. He looked at Sophia, and she saw something in his eyes that she hadn't seen from anyone in 5 years. He saw her. Really saw her. To Sophia, he said, who taught us all a lesson tonight. That talent doesn't come with a title. That wisdom can wear any uniform. That we should never, ever judge someone by their job. Everyone drank. The Korean executives bowed respectfully to Sophia, thanking her in Korean with genuine warmth. As the celebration continued, Victor pulled Sophia aside. Don't go anywhere, he said quietly. We need to talk. Sophia's hands trembled slightly as she nodded. Her server's apron was still folded on a nearby chair. Her old life sitting there, waiting. But something had shifted. Something had changed. For the first time in 5 years, Sophia felt hope. You know what's strange about life-changing moments? They don't always feel real at first. They feel like dreams that you're afraid to believe in, just in case you wake up and they're gone. That's how Sophia felt as the Korean executives left the restaurant that night, bowing respectfully to her, treating her like the professional she had always been inside. She stood there in the empty dining room, still holding that folded apron, wondering if she had imagined everything. But Victor Chen was still there, standing by the window, looking out at the lights of Los Angeles spread below. He turned to her. "Sit down, Sophia. Please." She sat, not in a server's posture, ready to jump up and fetch something, but the way a professional sits. An equal. "I need to understand something," Victor said. "You have a degree from UCLA. You speak 5 languages. You clearly understand international business at a level that most of my executives don't. How are you working as a server? What happened?" This was the question Sophia had been dreading. The question that would reveal everything. She could lie. Make up something simple. Keep her pain private. But she was tired of hiding. Tired of being invisible. "My brother," she said quietly. "Diego. 5 years ago, he was in a terrible accident. He was 16. The other driver ran a red light. Diego's spine was damaged. The doctors said he might never walk again." Victor listened silently. "The medical bills were impossible," Sophia continued. "Even with insurance, the surgeries, the experimental treatments, the therapy, it all costs so much. My parents are immigrants. They work hard, but they're not wealthy. They were going to lose our house. I was in my master's program at UCLA, working on my thesis about international communication. I had job offers waiting. The United Nations was interested in me." Her voice cracked slightly. "But none of that mattered when my baby brother needed help. So I dropped out. I took 2 jobs. I work here at night, and I work at a coffee shop during the day. Every dollar goes to Diego's treatment. And you know what? It's working. He's walking again. Not perfectly, but he's walking. He just started community college this semester." She smiled through tears that were suddenly threatening to fall. "So when people ask me why I'm just a server, when I have all this education, that's why. Because being just a server saved my brother's life." The room was quiet for a long moment. Victor's face showed something Sophia had never expected to see from a billionaire. Understanding, respect, and something that looked almost like shame. "I've been sitting here," Victor said slowly, "thinking about how I almost lost $1 billion deal tonight. Thinking about how stressful that was. How terrible it felt to fail." He laughed bitterly. "And you're sitting there telling me you gave up your entire career, your whole future, to save your brother. You did something I could never do. You sacrificed everything for someone you love." He pulled out his phone and made a call. "Johnson? Yes, I know it's late. I need you to draw up an employment contract. Senior level. Director of International Relations. Include full executive benefits. And I want the health insurance to cover family members. Full coverage, no limits. Yes, tonight. I'll send you the details." Sophia's heart stopped. "Mr. Chen, I don't understand. Your brother needs ongoing treatment?" Victor asked. "Yes, but how much debt are you carrying?" "For his medical bills." Sophia hesitated. "About $300,000. Victor didn't even blink. He pulled out his personal checkbook. Sophia watched in disbelief as he wrote out a check and handed it to her. $300,000. "This is a signing bonus," he said. "The debt is gone. Your brother's future treatment is covered by the company health plan. Your parents can stop working themselves to death. And you," he looked at her directly, "you are going to come work for me as the Director of International Relations. You're going to help us expand Chin Media Group into every country where your languages and cultural knowledge can open doors." Sophia stared at the check. At this man. At this impossible, beautiful, terrifying moment. "Why?" she whispered. "You don't even know me." "I know that you saved my $1 billion deal," Victor said. "I know that you turned what should have been a disaster into the most successful negotiation of my career. But more than that, I know that you did something tonight that took more courage than anything I've ever done." He gestured around the elegant restaurant. "You had every reason to stay invisible. To stay safe. Nobody would have blamed you. But you saw someone struggling, and even though it meant risking everything, even though it meant stepping out of the shadows where you'd been hiding for 5 years, you chose to help." His voice became quieter, more personal. "Do you know how rare that is, Sophia? People with your talent, your education, they're not that rare. But people with your courage, your integrity, your willingness to sacrifice for others, those people are precious. And I'd be an idiot to let you walk out of here and go back to being invisible." Sophia felt tears sliding down her cheeks. Real tears. 5 years of exhaustion, of sacrifice, of holding everything together, finally breaking free. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. "Say yes," Victor replied. "Say yes, and tomorrow we'll start changing your life. The same way you changed mine tonight. Sophia thought about Diego, about telling him that the bills were paid, that he could focus on school instead of feeling guilty. She thought about her parents, about being able to tell them to rest, to stop working so hard. She thought about herself, about the dreams she had buried, about the person she had been before life forced her to become invisible. And she realized that person was still there, still alive, just waiting for someone to see her. Yes, Sophia said. Yes, I'll do it. Victor smiled. Welcome to Chin Media Group, Director Martinez. For the first time in 5 years, Sophia felt like herself again. They say that one moment of kindness can change the world. One choice to help someone can create ripples that spread farther than you could ever imagine. This is the part of the story where those ripples became waves. 6 months passed. If you had walked into Chin Media Group headquarters in downtown LA during that time, you would have seen something remarkable. A transformation happening from the inside out. Sophia's official title was Director of International Relations, but what she really became was a bridge builder. Victor gave her a team and resources, and she went to work opening doors that had been closed to Chin Media Group for years. She led negotiations with Brazilian streaming platforms, speaking Portuguese she'd learned during a semester abroad. She secured a partnership with a French film studio, navigating the complex world of European media law. She built relationships with African entertainment companies that nobody else had even thought to approach. But more than that, she changed the culture of the entire company. Sophia remembered what it felt like to be invisible, to be judged by her uniform instead of her mind. So when she built her team, she looked for people in unexpected places. People who had been overlooked. People with talent hiding in the shadows. She hired Roberto, a security guard who spoke Arabic and Farsi, and made him the head of Middle Eastern operations. She found Lisa, a single mother who had been working as a translator for minimum wage at the airport, and brought her in as a senior negotiator. She recruited James, a janitor who had a degree in economics from Nigeria, but couldn't get hired anywhere because companies didn't value his foreign credentials. Each person she hired, she gave them the same thing Victor had given her. A chance. And each one of them proved what she had always known. That talent exists everywhere. That potential has nothing to do with job titles. That the most extraordinary people are often the ones nobody bothers to see. The results were incredible. Within 6 months, Chin Media Group had expanded into 15 new international markets. Revenue doubled. The stock price soared. Business magazines started writing articles about Victor Chen's revolutionary approach to hiring and building teams. But the most important change wasn't in the numbers. It was in the people. One afternoon, Sophia got a call from a restaurant. The Pearl. The place where her old life had ended and her new life began. Miss Martinez? This is Thomas from the Pearl. We have a situation here, and I thought of you. Sophia's heart clenched. What's wrong? There's a young man who works here. Kitchen staff. His name is Michael. He's about to be fired because he missed his shift yesterday. But the thing is, his daughter was in the hospital. He's a single dad, and he was too afraid to tell the manager because he needs this job desperately. Thomas's voice became quieter. I remember you, Miss Martinez. I remember what happened that night 6 months ago. How you were just trying to do your job and take care of your family, and how everything changed for you. I thought maybe you could help Michael. Because nobody else will. Sophia closed her eyes. She saw herself 6 months ago. Exhausted. Scared. Fighting to survive. Tell Michael not to worry, she said. And tell him to call me tomorrow morning. The next day, Michael came to her office. He was young, maybe 24, with tired eyes and calloused hands. He held his daughter's hand. She was 5 years old, recovering from an asthma attack. Mr. Michael, Sophia said gently, Thomas told me you might be losing your job. Michael's face fell. I know I shouldn't have missed my shift. But Emily couldn't breathe. I had to take her to the emergency room. I'm all she has. Her mother passed away 2 years ago. Emily clung to her father's leg, looking scared. Sophia knelt down to Emily's level. Hi, sweetheart. Are you feeling better? The little girl nodded shyly. Sophia stood and looked at Michael. What's your degree in? Michael blinked, surprised. I studied computer programming at community college. But I never finished. When my wife got sick, I had to drop out to take care of Emily. Can you still code? Yes, ma'am. I code at night sometimes after Emily goes to sleep. It's what I love to do. Sophia smiled. Then stop working at the Pearl. Come work here. We need programmers who understand our international platforms. The health insurance will cover Emily completely. The salary will let you finish your degree. And we have on-site childcare for employees. Michael stared at her like she was speaking another language. I don't understand. Why would you do this? Because someone did it for me, Sophia said simply. And now I'm passing it forward. Stories like Michael's became common. Sophia became known not just as a brilliant negotiator, but as someone who found hidden talent and gave people chances. Her team called her the bridge builder because she didn't just connect companies. She connected people to their own potential. 1 year after that night at the Pearl, Victor called Sophia into his office. I have something to tell you, he said. The board voted last night. We're creating a new position, Chief Impact Officer. It's going to oversee all our international operations, our hiring practices, and our company culture. It's one of the most important roles in the entire company. He smiled. The vote was unanimous. It's yours if you want it. Sophia felt that familiar flutter of disbelief. But this time, she didn't doubt herself. She had learned something over the past year. She had learned that she deserved this. That all her talent, all her sacrifice, all her courage had been building to this moment. I accept, she said. Victor stood and shook her hand. You know what the best part of all this is? That night when my translator didn't show up, I thought it was the worst thing that could happen to me. I thought I was going to lose everything. His eyes were bright with emotion. But it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened. Not just because you saved the deal, but because you taught me how to see people. Really see them. You changed my entire company. You changed me. Sophia felt tears in her eyes. Good tears. You gave me my life back, Victor. No, he said quietly. You gave yourself your life back. I just made sure everyone else could see what I saw. What was there all along? 2 years after that night, Sophia stood in front of a university auditorium full of students. She had been invited back to UCLA to give a speech. The topic was finding your voice when the world makes you invisible. She looked out at all those young faces, students who were probably feeling lost, probably worried about their futures, probably wondering if their dreams would come true. I want to tell you something, Sophia said. 5 years ago, I was working as a server in a restaurant. I had given up on my dreams. I thought my life was over at 23. I felt invisible, like nothing I had learned or accomplished mattered anymore. She paused. But here's what I learned. You're never just anything. You're never just a server, or just a security guard, or just whatever job you're doing to survive. Your worth isn't determined by your circumstances. Your potential isn't limited by your current situation. She saw some students nodding, their eyes bright with understanding. The skills you're learning right now, the languages you speak, the knowledge you're gaining, they're not just resume items. They're tools you'll carry with you forever. And someday, maybe when you least expect it, there will be a moment when you have a choice. You can stay invisible and stay safe. Or you can step forward and show the world who you really are. Sophia smiled. I'm here to tell you that when that moment comes, step forward. Take the risk. Use your voice. Because the world needs your gifts. And there might be someone out there, right now, whose entire life is about to change because you had the courage to be seen. The auditorium erupted in applause. After the speech, a young woman approached Sophia. She was wearing a coffee shop uniform, clearly having come straight from work. Miss Martinez, she said quietly. Your story, it's my story. I'm working 2 jobs to help my family. I had to drop out of school. I feel invisible every single day. Sophia took the young woman's hands. What's your name? Anna. Anna, listen to me. You're not invisible. You're preparing. You're building strength and courage that other people will never understand. And when your moment comes, you'll be ready. I promise you. Sophia reached into her bag and pulled out a business card. Call me next week. Let's talk about internship opportunities at Chin Media Group. We're always looking for talented people. Anna stared at the card, tears streaming down her face. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for seeing me. I see you, Anna, Sophia said. Because someone once saw me. And now I'm going to make sure you get your chance too. As Sophia walked back to her car that evening, she thought about how strange and beautiful life is. How one night, one choice, one moment of courage had transformed everything. Not just for her, but for everyone she had helped since then. The ripples kept spreading. The invisible kept becoming visible. The overlooked kept getting their chances. And it all started because one young woman decided that being invisible wasn't enough anymore. That her gifts mattered. that her voice deserved to be heard. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply refuse to stay hidden. Refuse to accept that your circumstances define your worth. Refuse to let the world tell you that you're just anything. Because you're not just anything. You're everything you've ever learned, everything you've survived, everything you've dreamed. You're waiting for your moment. And when it comes, I hope you remember Sophia's story. I hope you step forward. I hope you use your voice. Because someone out there is waiting for you. Someone needs exactly what you have to offer. Someone's life is about to change because you had the courage to be seen. That's not just Sophia's story. That could be your story too. All you have to do is take that first brave step out of the shadows and into the light. The end.